Our previous discussion was over the characteristics of living things. We did our Diamond 4-door of the characteristics of living things. Today, our objective, ladies and gentlemen, is to organize the levels. Okay? So, these levels of organization, how are living things organized? So, after today, you should be able to start from the smallest part of an organism and take us all the way to an organism. So we're going to discuss this today. We're going to go through it. You're going to have a homework assignment with organizing the different levels. Now, when we start off with this, what do you think? Living things, what do you think the most basic, the smallest part, the smallest unit of a living thing? What do you think that is? Any idea? Any idea? Anybody want to take a guess? Yeah. A cell. A cell. A cell. Absolutely. The smallest part. The smallest part is a cell. Now, a cell is the smallest working unit that serves a specific job or function. Some cells may live alone, like bacteria. Okay? Bacteria is what we call unicellular. Okay? On your opposite page, you have unicellular. Open up the door. What is it? What is the unicellular? Okay. What do you have for unicellular? Okay. Breaking it down. Anybody know what uni is? We haven't talked about that yet. We haven't talked about that yet. One. Uni is one. One cell. So unicellular is one cell. So these cells have a specific job or a function. Now, I've got little cartoon cells up there. Let's look at some of these. That's a skin cell. Fat cells. Connective tissue cell, gland cell, muscle cell, red blood cells, bone cells, and finally cartilage cells. So we have many different types of cells. And these many types of cells have many different jobs. And their jobs or their functions are related to their shape. Okay? We'll discuss in the next couple of weeks. We're going to get into cells pretty heavily. We're going to get into prokaryotic cells. We're going to get into eukaryotic cells. We're going to get into animal plant cells. We're going to get into bacteria cells. We're going to get into organelles of the cells. All right? So we're going to spend some good time in the next couple of weeks talking about cells. Now, what happens if we take a bunch of cells and put them together? We have tissue. Wait, not that kind of tissue. This kind of tissue. It is made up of several cells that are similar in structure and function. These cells are similar in structure and function. and they act together to perform a specific job. Okay? Now, if I take this back a little bit, because I'm going to reverse it, look at these cells adding on there to the bottom. All right? We said that they were bone cells back here. See the little bone cells right here? We got the little bone cells here. As we go forward, we're adding those bone cells together. There we have a bone. Okay? Now, in human beings, we have 4 basic types of tissue. Connective tissue, epithelial tissue, nervous tissue, and muscular tissue. Now, nervous is dealing with tissue in the nervous system. Muscular, tissue of our muscles. Epithelia is our skin tissue. And finally, the connective can be cartilage, can be fat, can be bone, can be blood. Connective tissue. So those are the 4 different types of tissue that you and I have in our body. As we look at this next slide, we see some different images of tissue. All right? Now, we don't have any. Which one are we missing? Okay, we got muscle, epithelia. So we don't have any connective tissue listed up there, nor do we have any nervous tissue listed up here. But if we look at this, we see cardiac muscle. Well, where do you think this cardiac muscle is at? The heart, okay? The heart. So those cardiac muscles, the heart. Here's the epithelial tissue, which we stated earlier was the skin. That's why it's pointing to this guy's arm right here. Here are different types, striated muscle and smooth muscle tissue, okay? This muscle tissue, the striated, comes from the forearm here. And this muscle tissue, the smooth muscle, looks like the small intestine there. Has that smooth muscle in it. Okay, so these are just some different views under the microscope of different tissue. And believe it or not, I've got the plans done for next week. We're going to get into some microscope stuff next week. Okay, so we're going to be doing some stuff with the microscope next week. Matter of fact, I think we start it tomorrow. Organ. Okay? Organ is the next level. Okay? An organ is made of similar tissues that work together to perform a specific activity. Okay? We talked about red blood cells. Okay? We talked about cardiac tissue. Okay? We talked about blood cells. We talked about cardiac tissue. If we have a bunch of cardiac tissue, we can have, ladies and gentlemen, a heart. Okay? We can have a heart. That heart beating right there, that is a very vital organ to us. Okay? What other organs can you think of that we have? What do you think? Yeah. Liver, absolutely. Lungs, kidneys. Yeah, that's what I said too, huh? What'd you say? Intestines. We see those intestines right there. Yeah, so we've got all kinds of different organs. And what an organ is a similar type of tissue that, once again, they're working at a common goal. Okay, working at a common goal. That heart, its job is to get that blood and that oxygen circulated through the body. Okay? To get that blood and that oxygen circulated through the body. Now, what happens when we have some organs that are all working together at a common goal? Okay? Okay. Well, you could have organs working together and not be in perfect health. Okay? I would say my organs are working pretty good together, and I don't think I'm the healthiest guy in the world. Believe it or not, folks, I could probably lose a couple pounds. Okay? I could probably lose a couple of pounds and be a little bit healthier. But nonetheless, okay, if we have these organs working together, we have an organ system. Now, an organ system is a group of one or more organs working together to perform functions for the specific organism. Okay? Now, has anybody ever heard of the circulatory system? What is that? What's the circulatory system? Yeah, I'm asking you. The blood circulating through your body. Okay? Now let's talk about some things. We need that heart to pump that blood, right? We need the heart to pump the blood. We need lungs, right? The lungs get the oxygen from the air and put it into the blood. Okay? So there's two different organs right there, the lungs and the heart, that are working together to get you and I oxygen to all of our cells. Do things go well? Do things work well if we don't have oxygen to our cells? No. Okay? That's not good at all. Not good at all. We need to have oxygen to our cells for them to function. If not, bad things are happening. Okay? It says up here, our human body has 11 organ systems. Now, we're not going to name them all, okay? We're not going to name them all, but some of the more common ones, okay? We've got a skeletal system, don't we? A bunch of different bones in our body. Okay, that seems to me like a trivia question somewhere. How many bones are there in the human body? And I should know this, but I don't. Okay, I don't know that. Okay. Huh? I'm going to say 105. Okay. Not in your hand. That was just a guess. I don't know how many. I'll Google it here in a second. We'll see how many. Okay. But a skeletal system. Okay. How about a nervous system? We got that, don't we? Okay. We got reproductive systems. We got digestive systems. Okay. So, some of the more common systems that we have. And once we get all these systems organized together, we have our final level, and that is the organism. The entire living thing that carries out all basic life functions. Carries out all basic life functions. Now, up on the board, okay, we see some things in yellow and red, orange, blue, purple, green. What are those things? Okay? What are those things? You should know these, right? What are they? The characteristics of living things. Okay? Living things are made of cells. They share similar chemicals. Who can tell me some chemicals that are shared with organisms that we talked about yesterday? Think back. Yeah. DNA, nucleic acids. What else? Proteins. What else? Carbohydrates. What was the last one? Okay. Lipids? All right. So those are 4 macromolecules that living organisms have similar. Take in and use energy. Obviously, we have to have energy. Once again, we'll talk about how we produce this energy when we get into cellular respiration. We'll talk about how plants make this energy when we talk about photosynthesis. Grow and develop. Grow and develop. Living things grow and develop. Living things reproduce. And finally, sense and respond to stimuli. Okay, all living things will sense and respond to stimuli. Okay, so those are the characteristics of living things. Now, as we conclude here with our talk about this, we should be able to name from smallest to largest the levels of organization. So we're going to run through those real quickly here. And I'm going to call on some people that I haven't called on yet today. Okay? And I'm still not knowing everybody's name. So let's go first of all. What is the smallest level of our organization? Hallie. The cell. Okay? Cell is the smallest. What's next in line, Jordan? Tissue. A bunch of cells make up a tissue. A bunch of tissues make up what, Ridge? Organs. Okay? If we have organs that are working together, Logan, they are what? Organ systems. And finally, these organ systems all come together to produce what, Lauren? An organism. Okay? An organism. Good.